think we need to bring our health and safety expert in again. You've got a laser cutter, have you?
There's one upstairs.
No.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I was just going to buy one.
There's something different about this project in the research, which is interesting compared to in relation to the other projects. What did I've forgotten your name? Sorry, Sally. Sorry, Sally. Sally, in her explanation, was something quite interesting at the beginning, which I liked. What was it? No, the rest of you. This is a project where you seem to be looking at something organic, and you talked about photosynthesis. So I quite liked that this group has gone and looked at the origins of light, what light is, technically. So do you want to talk a bit more about that? Why did you do that?
Oh, because at the beginning we were just given those lists of quotes, and we found that first quote, and because I read it as something more like element, so photosynthesis fit in with that, and it's quite a nice thing to explore because we can use it naturally.
I think maybe you could look at photosensitive paint as well, light sensitive paint, which could you could have UV lights and it could evolve from that. Like when you do screen printing, you expose the screens. Something you can possibly explore.
So you want to do something about almost the materiality of light. A little bit like at least 3 of those exhibitions wouldn't work if you didn't have the dry ice or the smoke or the fog in them. Even though that wasn't obvious in the projected one, it was in the star one, wasn't it? What about those aspects? I mean, at the moment, this looks nice, but it could be obvious. I like the organic side of the way you've looked at it. And like what made that star thing not obvious was the fact that you only had to move a tiny bit, and it completely changed, didn't it? The shape of it.
It's more of an interactive that though, whereas this is just more like a piece.
Right, good.
As an outcome from this.
Yeah, and it's interesting that all of you could have done this in any medium, but most of you have decided to do something that is still very much to do with generating light. Whereas this is, as you say, you're looking maybe, am I right then that you mean that this is almost like an artwork, as it were, an object?
In comparison to everyone else's ideas, yeah.
How big is it going to be? So is there going to be light inside it or underneath shining upwards?
Inside it, like behind you.
And you're going to bring this up all inside like fairy lights or something like that?
Not very nice,
But I mean, in actual fact, maybe it's the object and what you're saying with it is the crucial bit, because it's actually really cheap and easy to buy very simple, LED lights. That's quite, and they come with the mounts, and they're really easy to fit. The only thing you'd have to think about is being able to plug it in and stuff like that, unless you could run it off batteries inside. So you could put loads more thought into how, what it's saying and the object side of it, and make, you obviously have been thinking about that with the idea of laser cutting and so on, and you've got a nice graphic as well which explains it. I mean, it's a good pitch, isn't it? It's simple and you explained it well. But is this group exploiting the object side of it enough? As it's your idea, I'm playing devil's advocate again. The rest of you. Could it go further, or is this perfect enough as it is?
I think it's really nice and simple. The fact that if the light wasn't on, it just looked like a piece of wood, and then the idea about the photosynthesis, that without it there wouldn't be a plant in the first place, and there wouldn't be the wood. So the wood then, it's really nice and simple.
Yeah.
Maybe the light could go off like sometimes, so people could see that without the light you can't see.
Yeah, we were thinking of on the side of the box and the switch.
See, that's very nice. I think both comments are valid and are correct, actually. And it's those sorts of, in making your object perfect, it's those sorts of ideas, you know, that you've already been thinking about, that you can develop, because you could have it on a timer, couldn't you, so that rather than people have to do it, unless you want it to be interactive, it could start doing that on its own very slowly. You know, like those big columns that were on the sort of, as you went up the first ramp, those columns were programmed to go on and off very slowly. So you can, there's lots of elements that you could incorporate like that. So this is very different to the other projects, is you've almost got an idea that people seem to like and that can work, and it's a case of how well you do it. And what's easier for you as a group is you can get right down to a lot in your roles as well. You know what your job is, as it were. But I think this little bit of developing it as far as it can go now is important. Any other questions? No? Everyone happy? Is this an idea it should be greenlit? Okay, good, well done.